Hey guys, welcome to Making Steele Wars, which is normally exclusive on the Now This Is Podcasting Patreon and the Steele Wars Patreon. But we're going to do a bit of a wider release as we've got to get it out to everyone. And joining us, as always, is my co-host, Jason Ward.
Hey, everybody.
And for the first time ever, we have got a guest from Now This Is Podcasting. It's Randy LoGudice. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, man?
I'm going good. The mystery Star Wars news that we're all waiting for, which many people thought was going to be an announcement, is a unannouncement. It's no one announcing that they're not going to announce any more stuff announcement.
Yeah, kind of a bummer.
Big bummer. I wonder when it becomes an announcement, though.
I'm still, I mean, to be fair, when Collider broke the news today, they were like, this is fluid. And that's kind of been the situation, because that's been going around for like a few weeks now, that they were going to be scaling back on spin-offs, and basically it was just going to be trilogies. And if you believe that news super hard, if you think that it's super accurate, the interesting thing would be that the Game of Thrones dudes stuff would be a trilogy. But
should we kind of just go over what the actual announcement is,
just
in case?
Yeah, sure.
I'll get it up on Collider.com. Exclusive. Future A Star Wars story spin-offs on hold at Lucasfilm. It may be a while before we see any more movies like Solo, a Star Wars story out of Lucasfilm. Sources with knowledge of the situation tell Collider that Lucasfilm has decided to put plans for more A Star Wars story spin-off movies on hold, instead opting to focus their attention on Star Wars Episode 9 and what the next trilogy of Star Wars films will be after that. Sources tell us that previously rumored Obi-Wan movie was in active development, but those who were working on the film are no longer involved. It was recently reported that Logan filmmaker James Mangold was in early talks to write and direct the Boba Fett film, but that was before Solo's release, is the basic gist of the announcement, which I just, off the top of my head, recited, by the way.
Read it so many times at this point, yeah.
Yeah, the rumor that was going around about Mangold too was that he had started this after Logan wrapped. That made me think that he was well into it, if it was ever accurate. I mean, this is all rumors, but they're not rumors from somebody with a theory that we then decide is a rumor. It's like kind of things that were actually being passed around by people I would generally listen to.
Has there been any rumors about an announcement about that theory?
No, not yet. Just this one right here.
Oh, okay, cool.
This
cool.
video, actually, yeah.
Oh, so this is
Wait a minute, we are the announcement.
We're patient. We're patient zero.
Are we the theory, or are we the announcement?
I guess when we were talking about this the other day, Jason,
yeah,
it's like a good way to work it out in your head is everything that's been officially announced at the moment is still coming. And everything that we were like when you're talking, Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, that people were sort of like, it's not announced, but I'm saving some space on my Blu-ray or my digital hard drive for those.
Right. And then everybody I've talked to, from film site writers and things like that, and they've all said that Disney has said, no, it's denial across the board. And that can be kind of an interesting and kind of a weird thing, because sometimes when you go to a PR person or something like that and you ask for confirmation of a story, if you have one detail wrong or something is completely off, they'll blanket deny the whole story. They won't generally help you. They won't say, "Oh, you're wrong here, but right there, you're golden, bud. Go with that." They don't do it that way usually, in my experience.
So maybe someone could have got in contact with Lucasfilm and said, "Oh, hey, I heard it's just going to be trilogies from now on, but then the Game of Thrones one is 4 films
or 2 films."
So they go, "Oh no, that's not true."
Yeah,
that is possible. The other thing is, and I don't know, I haven't got to like see what everybody's been saying like online right now because we kind of just got into this.
Mm-hmm.
So has Collider said if they got a denial from Disney or not? Because in the story that I saw, I didn't see that, but I had to like kind of speed read it. I was like, oh, it's out, and so here we are.
It doesn't mention any like we reached out for comment or we didn't.
Okay. Yeah, because like one of the things that it always goes around and that I don't believe it, is that Kathleen Kennedy is like out or she's in trouble and all of that kind of stuff. And if that was in the story, because I could kind of see everybody who has brought this to me has followed it up with, so is Kathleen Kennedy out? So it's kind of an assumption on my part, not trying to say it's Collider. But I do wonder if anybody who reached out for comment had that in there, and then that would be the denial. Because think about it though.
No, I
it's huge.
Yeah, but I think you'd be a pretty that to request that info from Lucasfilm from someone involved with them through the press. That's like that level of troll. Like, do you know what I mean? I just don't think they'd ask. I think you'd be very...
Still, just to stop you real quick, the people that I'm hearing this from all the time are the people who would be asking, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't. My response to the whole thing, though, is why is she making episode 9? If she was out, they wouldn't give her... You know, you go do our biggest Star Wars movie that we got probably, like... in a very, very long time, you go do that, and then you're fired. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If they were angry at her and it was all everything coming down on her and stuff like that, this wouldn't be happening that way.
Yeah, well,
that's my take.
If there are any legitimate entertainment reporters out there, and this would be my advice for things like this, just ask about if the first rumor is true, not if the rumor is true, these repercussions. That would just be my thing.
Really quickly, though, and I'm not going to go into all of it because I didn't invent it all, but there is like 100 more things that come with this story. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Is his name Frosty, the guy at Collider? I don't know him.
Frosty,
I never
Frosty.
met him. Yeah, I haven't met him, so I don't know him.
What I know, he's a pretty good interviewer. He did the Rian Johnson Collider video when they did the Q&A in like the cinema and stuff. So he does a fair bit of stuff. Right.
Anyways, where I'm going with it is that I haven't spoken to him, so I don't know what he has or in that rumor and all of the stuff that goes with it. I just know what he has reported. So my point is that there was a lot of stuff that it could have been in there too that could have got a denial. But at the same time, what they did put out is what people are getting denials on right now.
So what Jason's saying, Frosty, slide into those DMs, buddy. Slide in.
What the hell, Frosty? Why are you being so cold, man?
Well, we've got his origin story. We know. What about, like, with the Mangold thing, did you hear anything about when, like, that was going to be set at all?
No, I'm still working off of the old Trank era stuff where it was younger Boba. And I heard that that was going to have links to some other places, though, to some other things, that movie. So if that's accurate, too, I don't know how any of this upsets other stuff.
How does this rumor affect the continued not releasing of detours?
Deeply. Detours. Detours was hanging on this Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. No, I mean recently
comedy was hanging on this Detours re-release.
Yeah, recently, Fanta Tracks had released a report that things were going on at Pinewood. I believe that's what the report was for the Obi-Wan film. That there was pre-production stuff going on there, and that was like pretty recent though, and that makes me, it makes me kind of question to what degree, and with so many Star Wars things in production right now. Things that classically might have been handled in San Francisco. And I'm not pretending like I know their whole workflow or something like that. But I think that usually like the Doug Chang stuff and all that stuff was up in San Francisco at the Presidio. And there's always a chance that with
dude, you can't get Doug out of SF, buddy.
No, that's not for life. No, but I mean, what I'm saying is that if there's always a chance that with a TV show and movies and Rian's trilogy and all that kind of stuff, there is a chance that some of that pre-production work that would classically have been done up in San Francisco is happening at Pinewood in England through that art department now. There was a lot that went with that rumor when it was going around, and it led me to believe that the Game of Thrones dude's movie was first before the Rian trilogy. I mean, for what that's worth, I don't know if that information is anything at all at this point.
So, like, you'd sort of heard some whispers about this, but you kept mum. There was rumors of a rumor. Why?
Rumors of a rumor.
Why did you step away from the rumors of the rumors, Jason?
The internet's mean. No, the number one is it's never fun for me to report things that might be bad or that could be taken poorly, you know? And once again, not knocking Collider, they're like a trade or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they report industry news. It's important to them. But for us, it's like we like Star Wars. We want to talk about Star Wars. We want people to have fun with it. And when you just like take like the worst possible scenario and put that out there, it's not well received. People don't have fun, at least in the Star Wars fandom usually. And then you get picked on. But also, as Collider says in their video, it's very fluid. It's a fluid situation. Like, I don't know. I mean, on one hand, like Collider could, you know, they do so much and so many scoops and so many stories. It's not like a big deal to them. But like, you know, if we release that, then like it's all we're going to hear for months and weeks. And then also, you know, there's so much negativity on like the whole YouTube thing. And I just know that this is going to spawn 500 videos, like I said, that where Kathleen Kennedy is the worst person who ever existed and she's getting what's coming to her and all that kind of stuff. And it's just not my jam. But on top of all of that, like I said, I think the situation isn't set in stone. I think anything could change at like any moment. I think that there's a million things that could happen. But I do think that the silver lining in the whole thing is that from the way I heard it was that it was about like Rogue One and Solo didn't have their undivided attention. They were sort of the bastard stepchildren, if you will. They were not the focus. And now, according to the rumor, it is about focus, like laser focus on each film, one film a year. That was the way I heard the story. And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Collider heard too, you know, but it makes me think that with that in mind, one movie a year isn't bad. I would like 2 movies a year, but I think that they can't do 2 movies a year unless they convince the general public that Star Wars is more than what they know it is or what it's been. You know, like these spin-off films were supposed to not be the kind of movies that we've already had, but they have been. They've been true to form Star Wars films with Star Wars as a genre. And they haven't broken any molds. They've been good movies. And that's been the best part for us, I think, is that we pretty much got 4 really good new Star Wars movies out of all of this. But unless they're willing to like redefine Star Wars and go through those growing pains, they're going to be stuck doing trilogies, which is essentially like what this rumor says. And so even if the rumor is not accurate, there is a kind of a logic to it, I think.
Yeah, it's obviously over the longer term easy to get traction with a trilogy than standalone. Do you know what I mean? Because you can have a film do, you know, well at the box office and then it gets good word of mouth. People watch it on Netflix or whatever. And then, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like, you know, movies like The Matrix or, you know, Terminator 1 and 2. A lot more people went to see Terminator 2 at the cinema sort of thing. That sort of deal. But it's, I don't know. What I was talking about on the Hyperchat thing the other day was it's kind of ironic that the people that were campaigning to make less films or whatever it's like the ones that they would have liked on paper the most are now not getting made. And, you know, it seems like they're sticking to the Rian movie. Because someone on Twitter today was saying about, oh, you know, how they make the Rian Johnson trilogy when it had the biggest backlash. And it's like, yeah, but if you look at like
my
just,
shirt, no,
if you just look at if you look at spreadsheets, like which film had the backlash?
Well,
like the one that's in the top 10 of all time, or the one that isn't going to make its money back?
But they all do creative math to make whatever point they want to make sense to them, and it's just a snooze fest talking to those people. I think in the end, though, we're going to see that they're going to bring those movies back into the forefront, because another part of that rumor had more to do with the fact that, like, I think Iger leaves in 2019 with Episode 9, around that time, and that I think he was sort of like leaving that to the next person to decide what they're going to do with it. Because I mean, they have enough Star Wars right now. There's like 5 to 6 movies in production without the spinoff movies. And then the other rumor that went with that whole piece too, when I heard it, was that the Game of Thrones dude stuff was going to be more adult, and that the Rian stuff wasn't going to be kiddie, but it was going to be more classic Star Wars all ages material. Yeah. I don't want to say rated G, so let's not say rated G, but let's say like very soft PG.
Yeah, so the Game of Thrones guys are making Revenge of the Sith, and Ryan's making A New Hope.
Right. That would be a good analogy, yeah.
Yeah. But when you talk about like silver linings and stuff like that, it's like this, like how it's like you don't want anyone to fail, or you know, you want as much stuff to come out within reason. But
Star Wars fans want Star Wars to succeed. Yeah.
I'm a one a year person. That's what I'm comfortable with. And that's like, so I can get hyped up and I can get hyped down, and then I can be excited for the Blu-ray and all that sort of stuff, read all the books. And
is that why you called your show Hyper Chat? Because you're about the hype?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you need.
Okay.
Having it spread out, like in the 70s and the 80s, like it was hard to make a Star Wars film every 3 years. And then in the 2000s, it was hard to make a Star Wars film every 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
By definition, like now, it's going to be pretty hard to make a Star Wars film. And it has been, because every step of the way, well, with the extra ones, they've both had...
Yeah.
Ryan's was good. Ryan's was smooth. And no, but
I mean, with the standalone ones, like,
yeah,
like I know by definition that doesn't mean they all have to be, but like the fact is they all have been.
Yeah. But I would say though to that idea, which I generally do agree with you, but back in the day you had one dude who was like, "This is mine, and no one's gonna mess it up. Hey, how about you guys do a holiday special? Oh, you messed it up." And then would never let anybody really do anything with it other than like the micro series. And then he goes and does Clone Wars, and he's like so like obsessively hands-on with it in the end. But today it doesn't have to be that kind of environment, because it's not all on George. You have a Ryan and you have an Edwards, you know what I mean? And you have a Ron Howard. Like, it doesn't have to be as difficult as it's been. But I think that has to do with the fact that they're doing this all in this one canon, and they care about tone, and one story that's nothing to do with another story can affect the box office at another one, supposedly. I mean, I still don't really buy that the Last Jedi hurting Solo at all. I don't buy that idea. I think that Solo was poorly marketed. I think that most of the people, like, I have a Solo shirt, when I wear it, I've had somebody go, "Oh, is that out yet?"
Oh,
you know, like, yeah. I've had it happen like more than once, and makes me kind of go, yeah, that movie just didn't get the love and attention it needed, because they didn't want to start the marketing until Last Jedi was done. And then it was just kind of like the come down from Last Jedi was when the marketing started for Solo. And I think the marketing for Solo would have been messy and complicated and weird, but it needed to happen earlier. It needed to happen during Last Jedi. They needed to use Last Jedi to prop up Solo.
Yeah.
And I know. Yeah, it's a complicated.
I'm less better marketing and more better release date. Because that you can have average marketing, but if it stretches out, you get like at least one convention thing about it, and you're not between an anticipated sequel and one of the biggest like a film that's had 10 years of 2-hour trailers for.
But turn around and look at your wall behind you. Look at all of the money that is spent right there. Star Wars people have the money. Like they can make it work if they find a creative way to make it work. The whole thing though, because I mean, I know you guys in your Funko Pops. I've seen you. But I know what you do with your money.
Strictly Star Wars people, they can support Timothy Zahn, not Ron Howard.
I don't know. When you look at those merch sales, I think there's a lot more that could still be done. I think so, but it's not being done. So I'm not making an argument that it is or it's gonna be. But I think that if they could do 2 Star Wars movies a year, I think it's completely possible. They just have to crack that code of convincing the general audience, though, beyond the fans, that Star Wars isn't just a trilogy or a succession of stories. Like, they will believe that Iron Man and Captain America could have their own movies and they had nothing to do with each other, and then they could go see the Avengers and be completely fine with it. Star Wars, for whatever reason, has been presented in a way, because of its history, that it's just this one linear thing. And that's where the problem is, I think. That's where they run into all of their issues.
Well, they're marketed as totally different things. It's not like you have front-facing Marvel, Black Panther.
Exactly.
Everything that comes out as far as Star Wars is related is Star Wars front-facing. So it's hard to separate the things. You see, and they're totally different films in the way they're presented and marketed. Yeah. In the Marvel sense. So I don't know if people can necessarily be able to differentiate the mainstream audience.
Yeah, so the trick would be selling a Star Wars movie without Star Wars.
Exactly.
But I mean, if there was just a Boba Fett movie coming out and Boba Fett was never in Star Wars and it was a dude in that costume with a rocket pack, it'd be fine. It would be a big movie. And I hope they kind of come up with a good angle for that, because I want 2 movies a year, man. I want more Star Wars.
Like, for instance, you could watch Ant-Man, having not seen any Marvel film, and you'd sort of, like, you'd still enjoy and get 95% of it.
Right.
Yeah. And probably with the first Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Like, there's no, like, reference points needed.
I see these Marvel movies 3 or 4 times sometimes because my kids watch them, and I'm like, oh, that's referencing that other. Oh, wow.
I think the same can be said for Solo, though. But the way they market it, they have this stigma that you have to have so much knowledge going into it.
Yeah. Well, and a Star Wars story.
Plus you name it the Star Wars story.
That sucked and has always sucked. It's okay on Solo. It sounds all right on Solo. It sounded terrible on Rogue One, though. Like such a badass, like, militaristic style, like, code name, and then a fairy tale sitting right next to it. It's like, no.
Yeah, it does really limit what words next to it. Like it totally. I guess with Rogue One they didn't. I guess because it was the first one, but I feel like in the future, if they did do more films and they weren't just called Kenobi, like if you had, like, you couldn't have Revenge of the Sith, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, no. Totally not.
Rebel Glory, a Star Wars story. That one's out of them. They can't do it.
Dude, that's the one that disproves the rule. That's a good one.
Now it makes sense.
I like that one.
I want the article, Rebel Glory in the Hole. Because it didn't succeed, you know? What?
Fantastic. So that's all we've got time for on this. But what we're going to do, if you are on our Patreon, we're going to do another one tomorrow answering people's questions. And that'll just be exclusive on the Making Star Wars Patreon and the Steele Wars Patreon, whereas this one's out for everyone. So if you are a Patreon, just click on the listing of where this file is, and we'll go through the questions tomorrow, and we'll go through what else we've learnt out there. Because Star Wars is all about learning, you guys.
And friends.
And if you want to join the Steele Wars Patreon, it is patreon.com/Steele Wars. And the Making Star Wars one is at
patreon.com/nowthisispodcasting.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.